Viewer beware. Baby back a couple racks Oh, I didn't see you there. I was just practicing my bass guitar. I, like many other people, have picked up hobbies over the course of this pandemic, our 2-year entering 3rd year of pandemic. But, you know, the instrument is just one of many things that people kind of go to. If you want to broaden your horizons, you want to open things up, you want to live life to the fullest, you pick up a new hobby, and of course, you want that hobby to be one that can pull attractive strangers into being interested in you. And of course, the instrument is the best way to do so. In tonight's episode of Viewer Beware, we're going to see just that, where a young boy named Jerry discovers that his new house has a piano, and his new neighbor is mighty cute. So in order to get her attention, he is going to take piano lessons, but we're going to find out that piano lessons can be murder. In this episode, we of course see a weirdo that has a wild imagination. He tries to go out and make things up, tall tales, and then of course when a tall tale happens to him, nobody believes him. Classic boy who cried wolf scenario. But this is with a twist. Alright? And of course we're going to break things down into what gives us bumps. And this is a bit of a wild one, so bear with me. We have one social outcast, 2 parents in therapy, 1 cute neighbor, room full of disembodied hands, 1 disembodied robot hand, multiple robots, 2 creepy adults, rampant hand fetishization, mild breaking and entering, and of course, 1 ghost issuing cryptic threats. Now let's just take a break, crack one open, enjoy the show. They say learning an instrument makes you smarter. Of course I never learned one, and I'm dumb as hell, so maybe they had something to that. Let's roll it. Our episode starts with an imaginative weirdo playing with himself in the basement until he hears the unmistakable tones of the Moonlight Sonata on a player piano. We quickly see that the piano is not in fact a player piano, but was haunted as The father realizes that the piano must have been left over by the previous tenant. The father futilely tries to connect with his son over anything at all, but he still behaves like a total chode and brushes him off.
No thanks. I've got a life, you know.
In private, his parents talk shit about their son not having friends or normal hobbies. The little weirdo meets his neighbor when he finally learned that his name is Jerry, which makes sense considering Jerry is probably the worst possible name you can have. No offense to Jerrys out there, except for Jerry Seinfeld. You know what you did, Jerry. At even the most subtle hint at possibly impressing a girl, Jerry decides to take piano lessons, but who of us hasn't taken up learning an instrument to impress someone enough to get us to get a date? That night, Jerry hears the piano playing and goes to investigate, only to find a ghost giving him a cryptic warning. When he tells his parents of the event, they obviously don't believe him because he's a little weirdo with no friends. The next day, Jerry's parents take him to the not ominous at all Shriek School of Piano Lessons. Jerry, of course, still acts like a weirdo.
They enter the mad scientist's lair, unaware of the dark fate that lurked behind
Jerry, try to stay focused.
Jerry is introduced to the eclectic Dr. Shriek that assures him his name and appearance aren't hiding anything sinister at all, before he creepily caresses the young boy's hands and tells his mother to leave. During the lesson, Dr. Shriek takes a break again to caress the young boy. After the lessons, Jerry takes the opportunity to wander around the school before he gets chased off by a vacuum cleaner with eyes. Before he gets swept away, he runs into the mechanic that built the vacuum, who tells him to get out after, of course, praising his hands. That night again, Jerry hears the piano playing before entering and seeing the ghost yet again, who gives him another message, but this time with more detail because Jerry's too dumb to understand the concept of an ominous warning. Jerry tells his parents that he doesn't want to take lessons anymore. Who among us hasn't taken up learning an instrument then to only abandon it after it proved to be way too difficult. After being convinced to go back for another lesson, Jerry messes up his scales before Dr. Shriek goes full serial killer on him, demanding to see his hands. And to take his hands. Honestly, I'm surprised he lasted this long before snapping. What's that, like 4 hours? After running away, Jerry stumbles into a closet full of disembodied hands playing pianos, also as Dr. Shriek ends up being a robot. A lot happens in this chase scene, it's hard to explain. The mechanic stops the robot only to continue his weird lust for little boy hands. The mechanic is stopped by the ghost from Jerry's house that ends up being the mechanic's old piano teacher that scolds him for not learning to play piano. The ghost then chases Jerry and his family away by exiting out the building with force. The next day, Jerry tells his neighbor that his parents are in therapy, but it's all cool, no big deal. We flash back to the Shriek School where the mechanic is being forced by the ghost to practice the piano for all eternity.
There you have it, folks. We learned that piano lessons can in fact be super lame, so why even bother? It's just going to be run by ghosts and hand fetishists all over the place, so don't even skip piano. Piano's for nerds. You don't need to do that. You're not a nerd. You're watching my channel. And we wrap up with Jerry's parents in therapy, but Jerry's fine. He doesn't care. He's talking to a new girl. He's primo, living it up. But you know, let's just keep on rocking and, you know, watch my channel next time. Be a cool guy. Maybe I'll play some bass solo jams for you. Until then, see you next time on Viewer Beware. Da 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 da. Goosebumps.